Do you enjoy the idea of taking your favorite characters from comic books, anime, games, manga, and bringing them together, joining them in harmony to create something beautiful and interesting in a gaming situation? Well, if you do, then you've come to the right place, my friend. Welcome to The Cross Zone. Hello there, wonderful people, and welcome to episode number 5 of The Cross Zone, the King of Iron Fighters. And I do personally apologize that it took me so long to get this episode out. As I explained already, it's just life had a way of not allowing me to do this. But I got it done, so you guys can enjoy it. This episode, the crossover is Tekken and the King of Fighters, if you didn't get that from the picture of Heihachi and Rugal. I'm pretty sure everybody understood where I was going with that. Anyhow, now the similarities between King of Fighters and Tekken. Firstly, the characters in both of these respective series, they're highly confident people. They're like, a lot of them aren't the very humble type. Like they're all itching to fight. I mean, not like Street Fighter where you have people who want to fight but they're kind of humbled about it. They're more like a traditional in the sense of how they deal with rivals, at least more of the older Street Fighter characters, and I don't mean as far as age, but I mean as far as how they came to be. Whereas a lot of the King of Fighters characters who come from Fatal Fury, Art of Fighting, and a number of other SNK franchises, fighting franchises, they all have like this confidence to them that they just know they're going to win, at least for the most part. And I mean, and Tekken characters are kind of the same way. They have this attitude where they can just take on anything and beat anything, no matter what it is. And I like that about both series. And that's what kind of made me want to, like, say these characters should merge up, meet up, and fight each other, because they kind of carry the same type of demeanor. And then on top of that, both of these games come from a base 4-button fighting setup. Whereas with King of Fighters, it's light punch and kick and hard punch and kick, and Tekken is left punch and kick and right punch and kick. I mean, it's not too different. Like, you could easily, if you took the time to think about it, you could easily adapt one to the other one. Like, you could adapt Tekken to a King of Fighters style fighting, and you can adapt King of Fighters to a Tekken style fighting if you did it the right way. Now, to get a little bit further into it, I would set it up. Me personally, I would prefer to utilize the Tekken engine for this game's base. Sort of like what they were trying to do when they were planning on making Tekken cross Street Fighter, but that never really happened. Unfortunately, because I think it's more or less they were a little confused on how they should adapt the Street Fighter characters to the Tekken play style. And hopefully the example I give here would give an idea as to how they could do it. But that would take them to also be paying me attention, so I don't think that's really going to happen. But Tekken has kind of evolved over the years. It's the way the game, it's fluid. It plays very fluid, and they're up to using multi-tiered, divisive levels. I don't even know if that's necessarily a word, but they have levels that have multiple portions to them that you can break into and fight in. Sort of like how Dead or Alive has pretty much always been. I don't even know if it's pretty much always been, but I know at least from Dead or Alive 2 that's how it was. But that aside, it would be in the Tekken engine with multi-tiered levels with destructible environments that can lead to other sections of an area. Just like little hazards. I'd probably throw in some like additional random hazards, sort of like Dead or Alive did with, like cars being able to drive back and forth and hit you if you're in the middle of a busy street. Just stuff like that. I don't think though I'd have anybody running and jumping and kicking the hell out of a dinosaur. I don't. That didn't make much sense to me in Dead or Alive. That aside, because I've like gone on about that quite a bit. I would take 35 characters from Tekken and 35 characters from King of Fighters. When I was doing this, and I actually looked at how many characters Tekken and King of Fighters have had respectively, King of Fighters kind of dwarfs Tekken, so I had a little bit harder of a time choosing the King of Fighters characters. And a lot of this is my personal preference, so this is the roster isn't something I think a lot of people will agree with, but this is my personal preference because I kind of like a lot of these characters a bit. But yeah, the roster would total 70 playable characters. And from Tekken, respectively, the characters would be Jin Kazama, Kazuya Mishima, Heihachi Mishima, Forest Law, Martial Law, yes, both of them, Nina Williams, Anna Williams, Yoshimitsu, Feng Wei, Lei Wulong, Michelle Chang, Paul Phoenix, Eddie Gordo, King 2, and I'm specifying 2 for a specific reason, Christy Monteiro, Monteiro? I think it's Monteiro. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Kunimitsu, Jun Kazama, Lee Chaolan, I think that's how that's pronounced, Bruce Irvin, Brian Fury, Hao Rong. I don't know why they don't give him a last name. Craig Murdoch, Ling Xiaoyu, Shaheen, Raven, Bob Richards, Josie Rizel, I think that's either Rizel or Rizzle, Lars Anderson, Miguel Caballero Rojo, Elisa Boskanovich, Ganryu, Kazumi Mishima, Devil Jin, Devil Kazumi, and Jinpachi Mishima. The characters from the King of Fighters roster would be as follows: Kyo Kusanagi, Yori Yagami, Kei, Ash Crimson, Benimaru, Nikaido, Shingo Yabuki, Goro Diamond, Terry Bogard, Andy Bogard, Mai Shiranui, King, Yori Sakazaki, Ryo Sakazaki as Mr. Karate, so his more advanced form, Chang Hoi-han, Blue Mary, Leona Heidern, Ralph Jones, Athena Asamiya, Rock Howard, Geese Howard, the Kusanagi, which is not the same as Kyo Kusanagi, Yashiro Nanakase, Chris, who doesn't have a last name, Oswald, who doesn't have a last name, Vanessa, who I don't know if her last name has been revealed, Chizuru Kagura, Adelheid Bernstein, Rugal Bernstein, Kim Kefwan, Jean Hoon, Elizabeth, I don't even know I'm going to say this right, I'm probably butchering these names, Elizabeth Blanctouche, I don't know, Eiji Kisagari, oh shoot, I did that backwards, Eiji Kisaragi, Gaines, Mukai, and Orochi. Oh gosh, I know I butchered a lot of those names. That's horrible. 32 characters from each side would be playable from jump, with 3 of the characters being unlockable bosses. Obviously, the last 3 of each one that I said were the bosses. And everybody would be in pairings of 2, so it'd be 16 pairings for each side, leading to 32 pairings. Boss characters must be defeated in order for them. Oh, I said boss characters. I read that wrong. That's my problem. Both characters must be defeated in order for a round to end. So not like Tekken Tag Tournament where you beat one person and that's the round. More like Dead or Alive where you beat one person and the other person comes out and you have to beat them. Or similar to, I think, King of Fighters, 2003, I think, is when they went back to the 3-man format. But when you beat one, another person would hop out because it was like continuous. One-on-one battles are also capable, so you can have one-on-one or 2-on-2. As I said before, the playstyle of this game would mirror that of the Tekken series, both in controls and button layout. This would mean that all of the attacks of the SNK branded characters that they would have would have to be manipulated in different ways in order for them to be utilized. And I'm going to put an example up for you guys to see. Actually, I need to look at it myself while I'm going over this with you. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of stupid. But my example here, I took Kyo's moveset, where he's a character, he's had like 2 or 3 different movesets throughout the history of King of Fighters. Oh gosh, I'm going to butcher these move names. But as you can see with the first slide, the Hayaku Shiki Oniyaki, which is like, if we were to compare it to anything, it'd be like the move that's like Ryu and Ken's Dragon Punch. The one where he throws his elbow and then his fist out and jumps in the air and spins. And King of Fighters style, is forward, down, down, forward, and light or hard punch. In Tekken style, you would take away the button option and turn this into forward, down, down, forward, and left punch, based on how his fighting stance is. Kyo usually leads with his left arm, from what I'm remembering. So him leading with his left arm, that would be a move that you would have to do with the left punch button, if you're getting what I'm understanding. Another move that ends up this move ends up being overwritten in his second fighting style, and that's his which is the second move here, the Hyaku Hachishiki Yami Barai, which is down, down, forward, and hard or light or hard punch. Well, for Tekken style, I would combine that into the left and right punch so that he could throw his ground wave. And the reason being is that so that he can have his ground wave technique, and he can also have his combo punches, which would be on the second slide. So where you see the RED kick, the combo set up down below that where the multiple steps are. That's his first combo setup, leading in with I don't know what he says. I never understand what he says when he does that move. But when he throws his arm up to block and then he leans in for like a haymaker to like the ribs, and I'm describing the move. But people can understand what I'm saying. I wish I had video footage I'd just show you. But he could lead in with the punch and then go into his other one. Whereas with King of Fighters, this is a light punch. This combo is started on light punch, and then you can move forward with hard or light punch, and at the end, obviously, a kick. With Tekken, you'd have to swap buttons. So down, forward, down, forward, and right punch would be the first step. Then down, forward, and left punch would be the second step, where he throws the upper swing and punches you and knocks you into the air. And then obviously you'd have to hit the button again corresponding with the knockdown attack, where he drops his elbow on you and knocks you to the ground. And that's just like the basic setup for that combo. And I'm going along using how the moves are utilized in King of Fighters, but just adapting them to Tekken's play style, because you couldn't do a left punch attack on the right punch button, or a right punch attack on the left kick button. It has to make sense to the setup of how the attacks are done. And that was my whole premise when I was thinking about this list. And I'll just move on to the third slide for you so you can see his other setup that comes from his hard punch, or from the strong punch. This move is started off with the left punch because he turns around, blocks with his elbow, and then hits with his outside hand. So if his left arm is leading, then that would be on the left punch. Simple as that. Now the moves in the middle, I'm kind of questioning whether or not I did that right, whether it should be right, or if it should be left, right. I'll figure it out eventually. But this is just to give you a basic rundown of how it should look. I mean, I only did it for Kyo because if I did it for everybody, it would take me, oh gosh, it'd take forever. But like characters like Terry, Ryo, I could literally combine all of their moves across King of Fighters and Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting into a cohesive style, distinctly for a Tekken style setup. That was the purpose of me when I was just like, I was trying to figure out how I could show an example, and that's probably the best way to do it, is just show like just the basic special moves. This isn't even counting all of the additional moves that they have, like, you know, like the little step kicks and things that they do separately and additionally. I'm literally just going over like the basic special moves that the King of Fighters characters have. And that part was really long. Okay, now the character pairings, I know some of these are questionable. It's okay. I just kind of threw a few of them together because I personally haven't kept up with Tekken as much as I wanted to. But I have done some research on some of the characters, the newer characters, and I've been playing Tekken. It's not Resurrection. It's Revolution on PS3 because I wanted to play Tekken, and I just like, screw it, it's there, it's free, whatever. Don't have to pay anything, and I can still unlock the characters without having to buy them. And that's where Capcom got that idea. But the pairings are as follows. For the Tekken side are as follows: Jin and Ling Xiaoyu, Kazuya and Jun, Heihachi and Kazumi, Martial Law and Paul, Lee and Nina, Lars and Anna, King 2 and Michelle, Eddie and Christy, Harong and Raven, Fang Wei and Craig, Bruce and Brian, Yoshimitsu and Kunimitsu, Ganryu and Bob, Forest Law and Josie, Lei and Miguel, Shaheen and Elisa the android. The King of Fighters pairings are about to say this wrong. Kyo and Athena, Terry and Blue Mary, Andy and Mai, Mr. Karate and King, Leona and Ralph, Kim and Jun, Ash and Elizabeth, Yashido and Chris, Chizuru and Kusanagi, Rock and Adelheid, Giz and Rugal. And hopefully somebody will understand why I did that with those specific two pairings. Benimaru and Yuri, Chang and Oswald, Shingo and Diamond, Kei and Vanessa, Iori and Eiji. Obviously the Tekken bosses are Devil Jin, Devil Kazumi, and Jinpachi. The King of Fighters bosses are Gaines, Mukai, and Orochi. Like I've already said this multiple times, that this is going to be a Tekken style gameplay. King of Fighters movesets will have to be adjusted to match the style of the 3D fighter. There will be objects to collide into, which will cause minor damage to the characters, as well as breakable objects that will either lead to different areas or open more space in the current arena in a similar fashion to Dead or Alive or the more recent Tekken games, as I had already referenced. Projectile attacks by King of Fighters characters will be limited to the length of the standard size of the screen. So, like, you know, when how the match starts, where you're like that distance, that's as far as the projectiles will go. They'll dissipate after that. And basically, I already said that. There will be a super meter for all characters. And this meter will hold 3 levels to allow for the super specials of the King of Fighters characters to be done. The Namco or Tekken characters will also have to adhere to this rule and will not be able to pull off their super attacks at any moment, like as they normally are able to in Tekken. However, the freeze frame from the King of Fighters games will not be present when they perform their super specials to be in league with the attacks of those from Tekken, so that there is no delay in the action. So if you're going to start up a special move with the King of Fighters character, you better know that you have the timing to get it off before somebody can hit you, basically. The same thing with the Tekken characters. It's like you just have to know you have the time to get it off before someone can hit you. Or you can catch them off guard and startle them a bit and make them freeze before they think to react. That's the basic premise of it. There will also be 2 types of matches, 1-on-1 and 2-on-2. In 2-on-2 matches, both characters must be defeated in order for the round to end, as I already said previously. So once the first character in the team up is knocked out, their partner comes out to continue the fight, giving the person on the losing team a chance to maybe, possibly, make a comeback. The maximum number of rounds that can be fought in a match is 4 out of 7, with a sudden death round in case of a draw. So if the match is going down to the wire, and each side has 3 win points, and you both knock each other out at the end, you both get that additional win point. Excuse me. You'll have a sudden death match, and in sudden death matches, all of the characters only have 25% of their health. Each main team has their own ending, and then there are special team ups like Kazuya and Jin, Kyo and Yori, or even Andy and Raven, for example, that will have their own specialized endings for you utilizing those characters. All of the endings would link together to give a cohesive story. If anybody's played King of Fighters 97 and you've played through the different teams' stories, especially all of the teams that involve Kyo, they're all one story in line if you play them. You have to play them in a specific order to get the whole story, but they're all a part of the same story in a line. That's the effect I wanted to go for with this. Not have everybody have a different moveset, but everybody have everybody have a different ending that could possibly be for anyone. No, everyone would have an ending that is a piece of the puzzle to the story. If that makes any sense to anyone. Sadly, though, I don't have a dedicated story right this moment. I mean, I'm confident that Namco and SNK can come up with something pretty damn awesome because of the fact that they've made Tekken and King of Fighters. So I don't think they need my help in that department. Boss characters playable, but have to be unlocked through beating them. And this is where people will probably get irritated with me because I don't want to just hand you everything. But oh gosh, I'm skipping ahead of what I wrote. If you choose to play as a boss character, you only have that one character to play with. So in a 2-on-2 match, you'll have that one character, but to compensate for the disadvantage in number of people, the boss character's health will be double. So they'll have 2 health bars that you have to deplete in order to beat them for that round. If that makes any sense. Now, going to what I had jumped ahead on accident and was about to say, if you play through the game with a King of Fighters pairing, then you'll get one of 2 Tekken bosses and vice versa. So if you play with a Tekken team, then you'll get an SNK boss. Now, if you play with a mixed team, like a mixed Tekken King of Fighters team, you'll get the last. If you win more with the King of Fighters character, you'll get the last Tekken boss, the third one. And if you win more with the Tekken character, you'll get the last SNK boss. I know that's not difficult to understand, but like I said, I wouldn't want to just give it to people. You have to work to get this. You have to figure out how to earn this. Because there's going to be somebody who's just going to play the game with the standard teams and be like, how am I not getting these bosses? How do I unlock them? And I wouldn't want to just say, Here you go. They're there. You can have them. Like, you gotta figure this out. If you're not willing to try mixing up teams, you're gonna have a little bit of a problem on your hands. Now, there would obviously be, for a game like this, online multiplayer mode, which would include tournaments, ranked battles, player matches, and several different rankings boards. Each game type will allow for either 1-on-1 or 2-on-2, but this is where, for me, where my mind would go a little off the wall, out of the box, and we can make it a little bit interesting. Now, there will be 3 ways to play 2-on-2 matches. You could have 2 different people playing with 2 separate characters against one person who's using 2 characters, or 2 teams of 2 people playing against each other, or one person on each side playing with 2 characters. It just depends on how you'd want to set it up. I mean, and for me, that to me makes it, that gives you a level of questioning, because certain people play certain ways, especially when it comes down to their favorite characters. I typically am an aggressive player when I play any sort of game, but you could have someone who's the complete opposite me as my the complete opposite of me as my partner, and after you're done dealing with me, and you might have beaten me, and I was so super aggressive that I make you expect the next character to come out aggressive, but then they're not. Like, they're reserved and waiting for you to make an attack so that they can counter you. Just an example. Which I think it would be pretty fun. I mean, obviously you'd have to select that particular mode. I wouldn't want to just have it, well, I guess it would have to be random if it's going to be the way I'm talking about. I've already said this portion that I rewrote. The Tekken playstyle would also allow for King of Fighters characters like Kyo, who've had split move sets, to have all of their known attacks at the same time, instead of having to take up 2 character slots for one character outside of clone characters. But they don't even have to be exactly alike, like my example of Kyo and Kusanagi. Kusanagi does not have to be exactly like Kyo. He could have the same special moves, but he doesn't have to be exactly like Kyo. He could have different super specials, or he could be given something specific that's unique to him. And so it wouldn't be like how Smash Brothers clones are done, where there's like super subtle differences. The differences would be kind of dramatic. They would have to be. Like, they could literally be a whole completely different move set, just something made up for the character at that point. It's like, sort of like how Tekken does. I mean, Tekken does blend older moves for one character with newer moves for another, but I'm just saying, it's more or less in the Tekken fashion than the Smash Brothers type of fashion. And this is something that could really, really benefit a lot of characters, and bring them, like, at least for the King of Fighters characters, and bring them up to competing level with the Tekken characters. Because if you look at Tekken versus King of Fighters, and I prefer King of Fighters, but the way Tekken is set up, the Tekken characters have more moves that they can utilize at one time. Not saying that the King of Fighters characters don't have enough moves, but they can't utilize them all at the same time in the King of Fighters setup. That's why a lot of characters have split movesets, which irritates me a little bit. But, oh well. And I definitely wouldn't want to compensate for a lack of moves by taking away moves from the Tekken characters, like Street Fighter Cross Tekken did. That, I didn't like that too much either. Now, if this game were to have DLC characters, it'd be done much differently than I've seen in like older fighting games. I wouldn't be charging $5 or $15 for individual characters, but rather have, like, you know, a pack of characters, like 4 characters for like $7. So that's like $3.50 per pairing, $1.75 each character. If you wanted to break it down to dollars and cents like that. And that's just like for team ups. If we made like DLC bosses, they'd be like $2 each individually because of the disadvantage. Well, I mean, it's not necessarily a disadvantage if they're going to be given a double the life bar when they're taking on 2 people. And one-on-one fights, they would have the same health bar as normal characters, but if it's like a 2-on-1 situation, they would have double the health. I think I've already explained this pretty well, though. I would personally want to give away, like if they did DLC stages, I'd want to give away stages for free, or like really cheap, like maybe $1 each. But I definitely would not charge for skins and costumes. If that stuff is done afterwards, it would just be an update, a free update, just thrown in the game. Because I don't like the idea of charging for skins, and I never have, and I'm not going to like the idea of charging for skins. But that little problem I had that I just ranted over. I'm done with that. So I pretty much am done. And I think I've run through this kind of quickly. I didn't want to run through it quickly, but I think I did. I mean, I hope that people people like this idea of a Tekken Cross King of Fighters game. Like, cause to me it would be interesting. I'd hope it would be interesting to other people. And like, and we don't have to let Capcom have the monopoly on fighting game crossovers. Like, they don't have to have the monopoly on that. We can let somebody else cross other people cross their franchises. It doesn't have to be Capcom and everyone with the fighting franchise thing. Like, no. So somebody else do it. Alright, but yeah, again, I really do apologize for how long this took, and like that, I was irritated with how long it took. And there's nothing I could do to change that, but there was a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of things that are going on currently that kind of just, held me up some. But, either way, I have the next Cross Zone episode, which is episode 6, coming out on October 31st, and I will make sure it's done and ready for October 31st, so that you guys can see it, because it's like super appropriate. And I have to go really quickly, but thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this idea. The Cross Zone episode 5, the King of Iron Fighters, has come to an end. So until next time, people, enjoy your games and peace out.